Hello guys, this is my first video on this channel, and to give a background of me, my name is Prince Chakraborty and I'm an academician. And today the reason why I'm recording this video is because being a person who reads a lot of philosophy and psychology and other subjects, I always had this urge to record myself and post videos on YouTube and other social media platforms, so that whatever knowledge that I gain from my real world experiences as well as other experiences that I gain from reading books, watching videos, talking to people, socializing, or also sometimes being alone, walking on a street during night or during the day or during the midday, just contemplating my feelings about whatever I have learned from 22 to 23 years of my life, whatever I have experienced in my life. So being an academician, being a student for my past 22 years, I have always thought of making a video on this topic especially, which is about the idea of destruction and creation, right? So we all know from each and every theological perspective and religion, as well as from many other philosophical perspective, that the idea of destruction and creation kind of is correlated to each other. The idea of yin and yang, the idea of dark and light, the idea of sorrow and happiness, the idea of destruction and creation is always linked to each other. The idea that destruction is necessary for creation has been and will always be a philosophical concept from the very beginning of time, right? We all know that the earth didn't appear out of nowhere. If you see it from a much more scientific basis, we know that destruction created creation. And apparently we can say that various thinkers throughout history at its core suggested that in order to make something new or create something new, the old and existing structures must be destroyed, right? And this urge of destruction sometimes have created certain cultural marvels that we know of, right? So if we talk about the ancient time and ancient period, we know that the Bronze Age collapse might have happened because of the sea peoples, but we don't even know who were the sea peoples, right? What were their motivations? Some historians say that they are a seafaring population who out of nowhere started attacking civilizations that were attacking Levantine civilizations, you can say, or civilization close to the Mediterranean. It also affected Egypt a lot, but overall we don't know about those sea people, right? But after the attacks of the sea people, we come to understand that because of their destructive urge later created various type of civilizations that were actually necessarily beautiful for us historians, or for each and every people who study history. We come to know about this, and this destructive power sometimes is very much necessary for creation. And one of the greatest example is that in my country, I'm from India, we follow the religion of Hinduism right now, which is a much more which has a Puranic and Bhakti influence, which whatever we are following right now. But we have to also understand that during the Vedic period, the Vedic people, they came, they migrated, some say they attacked, some say they migrated, and they settled in this subcontinent, intermingling with the people and starting a new sect of religion that was very much, you can say that their religion was 90% influenced from the Indo-European religious tree, and 10% influence came from the already existing tribal you can say tribal ritualistic beliefs, right? But we should also keep one thing in mind, that if we think of a migration of being a very peaceful endeavor, we would be wrong, right? Any type of migration causes destruction. Any type of migration causes a cultural turmoil, which leads to development of a new culture or assimilation of two cultures, right? So to further interpret this destruction and creation thing, we have to also know that in the arts too, while we draw or while we make sculptures or while we do anything that is related to art, artists generally destroy their artwork for creating a newer one. It is very much evident from historical, archaeological as well as socio-political sources, as we all know of. But however, it is important to note that while destruction can clear the path from creation, it doesn't mean destruction itself should be the goal of any civilization. To say about Marxism has this idea of destroying the capitalistic endeavor to create a socialistic and equal state. But we always forget one thing, that through Marxism we are promoting nothing but a circle, right? So first it starts with capitalism, the capitalism gets destroyed. Capitalism, after the destruction of capitalism, socialism comes to power, and the people who are the proletariats, they gain the power of the bourgeois, and those proletariats starts to utilize that same power that the bourgeois used to do, becoming the bourgeois itself, and this cycle kind of continues. That is the reason why many political thinkers have said that the Marxist theory might sound very good and very utopian in nature, but it is not at all viable in this day and age. You have to understand also that any type of political ideology, it sounds very good when you read it, when you understand it, but when you implement it, it kind of becomes a mess, right? It kind of becomes a very confusing thing. Okay, so I'm going to right now I'm going to tell you some examples of how destruction is necessary for creation. And one of the greatest examples of this that I can quote is from Nietzsche's philosophical work of eternal recurrence, where he states that Friedrich Nietzsche introduced the idea of eternal recurrence, which suggests that the universe and all events within it recur infinitely. In Nietzsche's vision, the eternal recurrences challenges individuals to embrace life fully, as one would have to be willing to live the same life over and over again. However, this also implies that every moment of destruction or decay is followed by a moment of creation or renewal. Without destruction, there would be no new beginnings. This is one of the greatest thoughts that I've ever read, and I have read this thought very recently, and that is why I have written this small summary of this thought, that this is one of those theories, you can say, that kind of solidified my belief that there is a need of destruction for creation, right? If the old and the decayed material aren't removed, then the new can't come to the power. So this is one of the basic, you can say, crux of this idea. And to further state about, let's say, day-to-day life, for example, if say for example my viewers whosoever is watching this video, majority of them will be in their 20s or their 30s or they're in 40s, and they might be in a relationship, right? So let's say for example you are in a relationship with a person, and that person has certain good qualities and bad qualities that might be divided 50-50, right? So what happens is that during the honeymoon phase, during the kind of those phase in our relationship, we tend to forget about the bad things about that person and tend to go forward and lean on to their good things, right? And what happens is that because of their superimposition in our brain that they are good in this and this and that, we forget about the bad in them. Now, to remove that bad in them, they have to have a destructive mindset. That destructive mindset would be that I want to destroy my bad habits to create new good habits, so that my significant other will be happier with me in the relationship. But how many people does that in today's day of age, in today's day, right? This is one of the greatest problem that I have personally faced and a lot of people faces. And one of the things that we can do right during this period of time is to focus on ourselves, is to understand who we really are, is to give us the time. And with that destructive mindset, you can call it a bit more nihilistic in nature, or bit more absurdist in nature, or bit more negative in nature, or even pessimistic in nature, to think like that we should have this destructive mindset. But if we understand this topic a bit deeply, we have to see that for creating something good in us, we have to destroy the bad in us, right? That is the main point in this topic. So I can quote a Buddhist notion of impermanence. In Buddhism, the concept of impermanence or anicca teaches that all things are subject to change and decay, as you all know. Nothing in the universe, according to Buddhist philosophy, is permanent or unchanging. This includes both physical objects and mental states. The impermanence of all things implies a constant process of creation and destruction. For example, in order for new experiences and insight to arise in the mind, old attachments and habits must be let go of, which can be seen as a form of mental destruction, right? So for creating new habits, we have to destroy our old bad habits. This is one of the greatest thing that any person that is in their 20s can do, right? We should start this type of destructive mindset in us. We should start building this type of destructive mindset, or you can say we can start building this type of neo-pessimistic mindset in our mind just around the age in our teenage years. We should point out or find out our problems, right? Whatever problem that we have, that might be mental, physical, or emotional, and we have to destroy that perspective for allowing a new creative perspective to emerge from our own consciousness, right? So this is one of those things that you can say a lot of people used to do during their earlier times, because maturity levels are much more higher. But nowadays people doesn't do that. Rather than they kind of become more dependent upon other people for their own validation, right? So basically this was today's topic about how destruction can lead to creation. And for a creative mind to work, we need to have a destructive mindset, which might sound a bit pessimistic in nature, but if you work on yourself for bettering yourself, for becoming a better person in your life, you should destroy your old habits that hurts you, and let your brain create a creative endeavor for good habits and good deeds. Thanks for watching. Bye.